Hey guys, this is CEO Ty with Educationally Speaking Center for Learning, and we are the bridge that connects the child to the curriculum. So I am so glad that you guys are on here today. I usually wait for people to come in. Let me adjust my screen. However, I like to respect everyone's time, and I just want to make sure that we, like I said, keep the interview in a great time frame. So I have Kacy with me, who is a speech pathologist.
Yes.
And so what I'm going to do is let her introduce herself. I know first, before we even get started, so many parents are, well, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself first.
Okay. Yes. My name is Kacy. I'm a speech language pathologist, and I teach parents and caregivers how to build their child's communication skills at home. So I own my practice, and it's called Teach Speech. And a lot of the focus is centered on parent education on top of just, the traditional speech therapy, but we focus a lot on parent education.
All right. So that is so amazing. So when we talk about this time with COVID, there are so many thoughts and interruption of services. So many of my children, that my parents that have children with IEPs, they're filled with anxiety and fear. They're stressed out, and they're trying to figure out how to fill in the gap while they are, because their children don't have services. So their services have been interrupted. What can you say to these parents who have children who have IEPs and they're not receiving the services in-house? However, the speech pathologist or the team may have sent out some activities for them to do. What are some strategies or just some advice that you can give to our parents who's saying, look, I'm not a special ed teacher.
Right.
What can I do?
Right. Okay. So first, I would make sure, like in a situation like this, especially with speech, there's so many different types of difficulties. Speech and language are two different things. And so then there's that social language aspect of speech. So it's really important to understand where your child needs the progress, like what is the issue, like what's the difficulty that they're having, and you understand what their goals are. So if you understand what they are working on, then the first thing I would do in a situation like this is make sure, because even though we're not in school, professionals should be available to answer questions.
Yes,
so you need to make sure you fully understand what your child needs to be working on instead of receiving a packet and figuring it out on your own. Okay. There needs to,
first of all,
there needs to be some education there. If the speech therapist is not already giving you that, which they should, but if they are not, it is then on you to make sure you fully understand what is going on. So if your child has difficulty saying speech sounds, that would be in the realm of articulation. So if that's the case, okay, so where's the sound made? How do I help them? What cues do I give him or her? Like, what do I do? What are some easy things I can do? The other thing that SLP should not be asking you to do is to be a speech therapist. So we're not, like we said, you're not skilled in this area, but you don't necessarily have to be to make an impact. You can just make sure you understand what you need to do to help and make sure you are consistent in that helping. So if I'm sure people or children do not receive speech therapy every single day.
Right.
And so you have to be a certain level of severity, but in the schools, you typically don't. And so it's either once a week or twice a week. So I would choose once a week or twice a week, or maybe even 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, after a certain activity, after you're doing things at home already. You can be making sure you have a 10 to 15 minute slot to work on whatever it is that they're working on in speech. So it doesn't have to be long, doesn't have to be drawn out, doesn't have to be complicated. You just need to make sure you understand what it is. So I think that's like something that's advice that I would say around this time, is to make sure you're asking questions, because that's the only way you can be an advocate for your kid.
Thank you. I love what you said, Kacy, when you talked about just understanding goals, the child's goals, and um, this is a wake-up call for all of our parents. Because we have children with IEPs, and some parents may not attend IEP meetings, or if they do attend IEP meetings, they're not advocating for their child. And so, you know, the team, and even though they want what's best for your child, at the end of the day, you know your child. And so you have to advocate for your child, because when we get in situations like this, when we didn't know that we would be out of school, and so now you're looking at your child's IEP and you're like, well, what is this goal and objective? What does this goal and objective mean? Does this goal and objective help my child move, you know, and where's the data to show that they're improving? And so these are the things that, and I'm not saying that parents are not, but if you're on top of your child's education, and you know what's in their IEP, you are on and popping. And so when this time comes, what you should be doing is having that communication with the teacher, just as a parent, just advocating for them, letting them hear your voice, saying, you know, I see that there are goals and objectives in the IEP, but forgive me, I don't know what that means. Can you show me what that means? Can you give me examples? And with that, you'll be able to understand your child's IEP. What are some? So one of the parents asked if IEP meetings are still going on now. And so they are. You know, with I just want to shout out, like I've done before, APS, Atlanta Public Schools. I mean, high five to you. Y'all are on it. You're still having IEP meetings. The case managers are doing their job. Everybody is the leads are reaching out, so they have contact with their teacher, with the parents every other day, if not every day. The students are able to call them. They're having live sessions, because this is a lot. You know, it's a lot to in. And so when you have a child that has a deficit, and you know, they say that they have just speech and language, you have to make sure that you're still doing the work, whether they're at school or at home. So some resources, and you are a resource. Some resources that parents can use, whether that's an app or something online that they can use to actually help their child.
Yes. Okay. So the first thing that comes to mind is Speech Blubs. And that is an app. It is a paid for app. But I think it's a good investment, because honestly, it kind of, like you said, it's basically.
I'm sorry. Is that BLUBS?
Yes, BLUBS. Like you said, this has been a swift change, and it is a definite wake up call to a lot of people, a lot of parents. And I think moving forward now, we can learn from this situation, and we can make sure that we are in the know, and that we know, we understand the responsibility we have at home, in school, physically or not. So Speech Blubs is one of those apps where you're gonna basically fill in your information, and it's going to kind of tailor it for, not your information, you're going to fill in the child's information. It's going to tailor it and ask you some questions to see what they need to work on, speech or language. So if it's like, you know, we're having a difficult time understanding directions, or we're having a difficult time with vocabulary, whatever it is, in those areas of speech, it's gonna tackle that. And then that is an app where they use kids in the app to help the kids with the speech sounds and all types of stuff. So it's really motivating for the kids. A lot of kids, I mean, we can say what we want about screen time, but realistically, that's what they like. And so it kind of is an incentive in a way to where you can get both. They can have a little screen time and feel like they're doing something, you know, fun. And it is a fun activity for them. But then that's also them working on that they're working on their skill. The other thing, and I definitely am a resource. So thank you for saying that. But like creating a home exercise plan or getting. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm sorry, it's playing back.
Oh no, you're fine. Being able to receive a home exercise plan, like, again, what is my child working on? Because even if your child is like, kindergarten or whatever, or preschool, pre-K, whatever, it's, you need to understand what that is. And then what are some activities that I can do around that? So reaching out and making sure that you understand how you can help your child, and then what plans or what activities or what cues or what directions you need to be giving your child as well. I think those are good ways to be able to help your kid at home.
Excellent. So for parents who so this is the thing that I try to tell my parents, because at my center we receive students who have deficits in reading as well as speech. And so parents don't understand that reading and speech are married. And so,
yes.
And so
yes.
If you work on speech early, children won't have I'm virtual high five. Children won't have deficits in reading.
Yeah.
And so there's no separation between the two. So a lot of activities that SLPs do, reading specialists do as well.
Yes.
And I've seen a lot of students come into my building that have IEPs for speech, and we work with them, and their speech deficit goes away. You just have to be intentional about how you work with your child, again, staying on them, making sure that you're pronouncing and enunciating your words correctly.
Yes.
You're not using baby talk, you're modeling. Thank you. You're not using baby talk. And that you're practicing with them. One of the strategies that I always use with my children, and I'm sure you do too, is just making sure that you have a mirror.
Yes.
And so that will help with the articulation piece. And what I always try to teach my parents is that every letter makes a certain mouth placement. And so when you work on that, you will see your child grow in the area of speech. Any other advice that you would like to give to our parents? Any strategies, suggestions, or anything?
Yeah. So articulation, like you said, I think for sure mirrors, modeling, because especially for kids who have articulation issues, and when we say articulation, we definitely mean speech sounds. So that's like saying, this for this, or tat for cat, like things like that. Yeah.
I want y'all to stop saying R says
Yeah. Right.
Please.
Right. Right.
Please.
Right.
And you know what? And so let me go back to this.
Yeah.
You talked about apps. And so there are so many. And so this is what I say, apps don't replace your lap.
No.
And so many parents are picking up apps and YouTube videos. And when we talk about articulation, it is wrong.
Yes.
I sit and I literally study so many YouTube videos. And I don't want to call out any companies or anything.
Right.
Because they may have me work for them later. Some companies, and I want to literally pull my hair out, because it's so wrong.
Yeah.
Parents don't think that it's a big thing now, but it is, because when they found out the word or to decode the words, that articulation piece is so important. And so y'all, R does not say
right.
That grinds my gears, boy. It drives me
as a reading specialist, I'm sure it would. Like, I totally get that. I totally understand.
But the crazy thing is, it's not parents, it's teachers too.
Oh, well, yeah. There's that too. Yeah, for sure.
So we just need to be mindful and make sure that you're listening to people who do know, and when give you certain apps that you are listening, because we have literally studied the app, and with Kacy, being in the speech, and me with reading, we understand and we know these things. So we just want to equip you and empower you with the tools so that you can be successful. But any strategies, like I was saying, I'm sorry, tips?
No, you're fine. So articulation, definitely a mirror. And for that app, Speech Blubs, it actually, that was kind of developed with the help of speech language pathologists. So you can trust it. Okay. But at home, like if you don't get the app, if you don't have anything else, reading to your child again
every
day.
When you go on that stick and it says positive, start reading. Start reading. And people think like, oh, my baby can't. Y'all.
Yes, they can.
You can stand on Facebook, Instagram, and hold your 2-week-old belly. You can read to that.
It starts in the womb. It starts in the womb. Yes. I say that all the time. I say school readiness starts in the womb because it does. It just does. Okay. So, yes, articulation, a mirror, and making sure you point. So like if the S sound, your teeth should be together, your tongue should be behind your teeth, and you should feel a little bit of air when you do that. So even like feeling for their air and putting your finger here,
giving right here. When I go over the alphabet video, I tell parents, you'll see the movement here. They can feel it. You'll feel the vibration. When it sounds like F. Your mouth placement, H.
Exactly.
You should feel the air. And
the K sound, it's a back sound. It's not a front sound. So you should feel it under here. And it's, and that's something that I always tell my kids, like, okay, feel mine. I let them feel, and then they make sure that they're making it back there. And it pretty much always works because they want to make it themselves too. So that's articulation, really modeling that. Kids who have articulation difficulties, like they don't really can't afford to code switch just yet. So make sure you model what you want to hear there. And then language is a little less black and white. It's really gray. So it just kind of depends. If there's a receptive language issue, which means what they understand, what they take in, what they read, all of that, it can be with the reading, and we've talked about that. But as far as like following directions or understanding what is being said to them, that spoken language, you need to make sure you're giving cues. So if you can go say, go give me the cup, and you're not saying anything, you're not doing anything else with it, and they can't give you the cup, they can't follow direction, you need to make sure you put a gesture with it next.
Right.
And then after you've done a gesture, then you make sure you need to touch it. And if you have to take that child and go hand to hand to say, the cup, this is what I want, give me the cup, then that's what you need to do. So it's more so just knowing kind of like, where is your child? And it goes back to the IEP. Well, how have they been doing? Because next time your child has an IEP, you need to hopefully make sure you are present, whether that's physically or by phone, but you need to be there. Yes. And the other thing I would say is ask for a copy before the IEP meeting. It should be drafted.
Please say that again. Parents, and I think the thing is that parents really don't know all of their rights.
They don't.
So you can receive a draft.
Absolutely.
Before the meeting and before everything is signed, before the IEP is locked. And you can contact me as your special education advocate to advocate for you. That is a service that I provide. And to look over your IEP, to look at the data, to see where your child is. Because I've seen some IEPs and I'm looking like.
I've sat in some IEPs and I'm like, do
you
have a question? Because you need to know what's happening with your child. You cannot let the IEP team just tell you what we're going to do for your child. And then there's some outcome that you don't like when you signed off on it. So you really need to make sure you understand, what does this mean? And Don't be embarrassed by what you don't know. That is an opportunity for you to truly know, because a lot of times, a lot of professionals just skim through stuff in the IEP meeting and click, 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 and now it's a final draft and that's it.
Right.
And they need to be educating you on what actually is, what educational decisions we're making. So like I said, that's a understanding, just the understanding of what is going on, what they're working on, and where they're at with that skill is probably the most priceless thing you can do.
And just like you said, how they are measuring goals. I'll never forget sitting in an IEP meeting, and the child that I was representing was actually one of my students. So I come with data, and they don't like to see me. And so the child at my center was reading 30-something words per minute, but their goal was to get to 80.
Right. But you know what? They always do that as a baseline. And it's like, that's not always the baseline. The baseline is where they're at.
Right. And so I was like, if he's at 30, how will he get to 80?
Right.
No, that's not the game that we're playing right now.
Right.
And so if you're not looking at those things and you don't know where to look, they'll click, just like Kacy said, close that IEP, and your child didn't meet their goals, and you find yourself saying, why isn't my child growing? And so on paper, it looks like they're growing, but academically, they're not growing. And then they're frustrated. And so you see the behavior problems, and especially with children with speech.
Oh, yes.
It goes together. And so you're like, why is my child acting out? It's because they're frustrated because they can't articulate what they want. And, it's that communication piece.
And they don't understand what's going on, especially in a classroom. So like your child can be totally lost. You got to think, if they have a receptive language issue, like if they can't really understand what's going on, they could be totally lost with all of the movement in a classroom, on top of the multi-step directions that teachers can sometimes give. So they're looking around just to kind of keep up with what's happening, and they don't know, or they're getting called on when they don't know and they don't get the support, or they do get the support, but they still don't really know. That's easily going to turn into behavior, especially as you get older. An unfamiliar or unpreferred task is going to turn into behavior if there is not the correct amount of like support, or if there's no progress in that area.
Right, exactly. So I think the best thing that we're trying to teach you parents is, number one, advocate for your child. Number two, make sure that you receive a draft of the IEP. Number three, we want you to make sure that if you have not done so already, please reach out to your child's, not just their teacher, because when your child has related services, you need to talk to everybody, because the gen ed teacher does not know what the SLP is doing, or what the special ed teacher or the EBD, they don't know. So they're barely implementing your child's IEP. I keep it real. Okay. It is what it is. Okay. Barely. So it is what it is.
I mean,
so you need to speak with your child's teacher. T2. Yes, absolutely. Yes. You need to talk to everybody who provides a related service to your child, because the OT doesn't know what the SLP is doing. Okay. The SLP doesn't know what and they're supposed to work together, but
it doesn't always work that way.
And it's no shade, everybody is doing the best they can. And when you have a caseload, some people have 30 kids on their caseload. At the end of the day, that teacher didn't talk to the gen ed teacher. So as a parent, you have to do what you need to do in order, again, this goes back to advocating for your child.
Yes.
If you ever sign on those lines on that IEP, you need to have all of their email address.
Everybody.
If Jesus signed his name, get his email. I ain't playing.
Everybody. I that's why I say you need to attend the IEP meetings, because Okay, so what does this mean? Okay, so what does that mean so what does that look like? So how often is he being pulled out? So then how big is his speech group? Well, like, you need to ask questions.
Yes.
Ask the questions.
You're telling me in a environment that that's deemed appropriate for them.
Yeah.
They may be still in a small group of 12 kids.
That ain't gonna do it. Yeah.
And we're not saying what we heard.
Right. Right.
And so you're not going to have teachers like me or Kacy that's going to advocate for your child, speak up for your child.
Right.
Speech language pathologist.
Yes, that's what that is. Yeah, I saw that.
All right. And forgive us. We are so, and that's my, and I'm saying me, that's my teacher ignorance. That's like a doctor talking to you. I apologize.
Right. It's jargon. Me too. Yeah. I get that.
You say it so much until it's habit. But the speech language pathologist, that's the SLP. OT, occupational therapist. All right. You're welcome. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. So last things, how can we contact you? Because you're doing amazing work.
Thank you.
Community. How can parents contact you? Consultations with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can always email me at teachspeechworkshop at gmail.com. That's the email. You can definitely, I would encourage you to follow my Instagram, which is Teach Speech LLC. And I talk about all types of stuff on there, what your child should be doing, what you need to be looking for. And in that, like, if you contact me that way, we can set up a consultation call. Or if you have any questions or anything like that, we can definitely set up a consult call, and I can kind of see how I can help you.
Anything else? Any last words? And I can't spell because I can't see, because I wanted to be cute and I didn't want light to show a glare in my eyeglass, and I can't see.
I think you put an A.
I did, child.
Okay. No, but just
I can't read now.
If any parents ever have any questions about services, about speech and language services for your child, or IEPs, or what a goal might mean, or what you can be doing at home to supplement, because I feel like it's important, even if they were in school, even outside of a pandemic, I feel like it's important for you to know how to supplement the help that they get when the professional isn't there. Yes. Essentially, I'm trying to put myself out of a job, although I know that that's a big goal, but essentially I don't want you to always need me in order for your child to be successful.
Right.
And so that means you can take an active role in continuing that success, whether I'm there or not, because you'll know what to do. So that's basically what Teach Speech is for.
And honestly, you'll always be there because you do great work. You can give recommendations, suggestions.
Yeah.
This is what I tell my parents, free can only take you so far. It can only take you so far.
That's
so I have free resources, but to talk to me,
right?
You want a person that is an expert in their field to be able to walk you through this journey. You really want that. Free is great, but what you pay for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's absolutely. So even if you are questioning the services that your child is already getting, like through the government or whatever, like, you need to make sure you have somebody else. A second opinion is okay.
Yeah.
Especially like outside of the school or outside, like that's okay. Especially somebody who has school experience. Like, I'm a school SLP now, and the owner of my business, and you've been a teacher, and you get what I'm saying? So we're familiar with the process, and we know what it can look like and what you mean, and we can break down for you what you might not understand in order to make the highest level of impact for the child.
Right. And at the end of the day, the end goal is to give the child access to the curriculum. And that's what I always say. The end goal is for the child to have confidence, to love reading, to love going to school. And so we look at the child as a whole, academically, mentally, spiritually, socially, emotionally.
Yes.
We want that child to win. How do they win? we parents step up to the plate and we advocate on their behalf, even if you feel like something that's a little doesn't seem right. You go to the school. If my child coughs the wrong way, I'm coming to the school. And
they're not gonna like it, but it don't matter because I love when I was sitting in IEP meetings with moms, like mom and dad are there and they have notepad, and I as a professional am ready to show up. Like, okay, these parents ain't playing. They know they have the right questions. Let me check over my own stuff. I know I'm good, but let me check again because this parent is not playing. And when you place that demand on the professional, they step up to the plate because they don't have a choice.
It's always the parents that are there all the time that their children always receive the best.
Yes.
And I hate to say that, but just like
it's the truth.
Teachers know, principals know, it's that mama. She's about to burn the school down. But let's get ourselves together because
I mean, even behind the scenes, like if we're gonna be real about it, behind the scenes, they're like, okay, well, so-and-so's mom, so let's get the work together. I'm gonna be that mom. Get it together. Send me the draft. Like we're redlining it, we're striking, we're doing all of that. If that's the case. Like that's just what it takes. So definitely.
So again, parents, make sure you receive a draft of the IEP during this time. You still have access to your support services. So email everybody on your child's IEP. And I know, we did a lot of laughing, but we're serious. Email everybody. And if you don't hear, give them 24 to 48 hours because everybody is still trying to figure this thing out. 48 hours, email again. If you don't hear, email the special ed lead, and definitions and titles are different across different states. Special education superintendent, email them because this is your child at the end of the day, and your child has to receive the best education and is granted a free and appropriate education. So, and when you're talking about speech and special educational services, it's federal.
Yes.
Not anything to play with. And so when you feel like you didn't receive the services that you needed during this COVID time, then guess what you can do? Request for ESY services.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's something that you can do. Request for ESY, and that's extended school year. And we don't know what the summer looks like, but those compensatory services do look good. All right. So make sure that you hire somebody that knows what they are talking about. So your child gets everything that they need. Thank you, Kacy, so much.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation.
This is the first time that we met. Like we're Instagram friends.
Yes.
But this is the first time with us actually talking.
Yeah. I met Erica.
Yeah.
And so she told me about you when we met at a conference that we were at. And she told me about you. She was like, you need to look up Educationally Speaking. So I looked you up immediately. And I think the first thing I saw was when you said, I think you did a video about the school like suspending a child. And you were saying like, just the rights that parents have and stuff like this. And I was like, yes.
That's one thing. When parents follow me, I keep it 100.
Yes, I love it.
There is no in between. You don't have to guess what you're going to get.
Yes, I love it. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I love everything. So I'm really
our parents deserve the best. Our kids deserve the best. And when you're messing with me, you're going to get the best.
Yeah.
So, girl, you talking about I didn't even know that was an option. You should have asked. Tell me. So thank y'all so much for joining. I appreciate it. I'm going to upload this video. We'll leave the video on both pages, the group as well as Educationally Speaking, and upload it to my YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please stay safe. Please breathe. It's going to be okay. And I love you guys, and I hope that you have a winning day. Peace.
Bye.